hasn't. He's much more focused on like, how do I support the lanes? And he has actually picked this Gragas AP style, going in towards the jungle, Predator, looking to try and support those lanes.
Watch.
Exactly, but I think this is the style that we're looking at, because like we're looking at the Udyr taken off the board, Pantheon, Graves, both kind of falling away from the meta, especially when you look towards Pantheon. So this seems to be kind of his more comfort pick when a lot of these kind of beefier, more supportive style junglers are taken off.
Well, Rat and ShiauC go, well, you want to make us weak side? We'll show you weak side, and they lock in the ultimate weak side bot lane with the Aphelios, and the Thresh should give him a little bit more safety during that later phase. That's a dangerous hover, ladies and gentlemen. We all know what JackeyLove can do on a Draven. I don't think it'll be locked in, but after game number 1, you know, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Maybe. I would more likely to see an Ezreal, I think, here, or could potentially go for the Kalista, but certainly an Ezreal, I think, works well. Unlock Zhuo from that bottom lane, it means that he can go and roam around, but it looks like instead they are just going to go towards the Kalista. So they are looking to, again, fight this lane, go hard, but you need an Alistar, you need a Rel maybe as well. Actually, I think Rel would work wonderfully here to try and set up this play, because the big thing about Rel is that you can actually interrupt the Lantern if you're able to put that ultimate down at the right time. So I think that would be probably where they go, but actually opting towards
one second.
The Lucian for Knight, guaranteeing the Gragas jungle.
It could be Jarvan support, right? Jarvan Kalista is kind of the new thing. I would love to see it from Zhuo. Whether or not that comes through, we'll have to see, but certainly if some support bans come in, Jarvan Kalista could be an option. The Lillia we talked about, though, hovering here by Irma, could go over towards Hacker. Incredibly strong jungler right now.
Yeah, and the big thing about having something like the Jarvan means that instead of with the Rel interrupting the Lantern, you just lock the two of them in together in the same place as the Jarvan. So it's like, you ain't going anywhere. But I'll have to see how it does work out. I'm excited to see anyway. Like, regardless, we're getting action in that bottom lane. And especially when you're looking at the likes of Knight going towards Lucian, he's going to be perfectly fine in this mid lane. They will try and probably look for something a little bit sturdier in the top lane, I'll say, for 369. Maybe something like a Gnar, or at least something that can play this more passive role in the top side of the map while they focus on bottom lane here for top esports.
Yeah, Rel taken off of the board here by eStar. Again, just these aggressive supports you expect the bans to go towards. Something like an Alistar as well would be a reasonable ban. This Sion, once again banned by top esports. They really don't want ZS to be able to opt out of that top lane. They want to make sure that he has to fight against 369. But also, on the support point, we could just see that Gragas withdraw once again. That could easily be flexed down.
Yeah, I think when you've already got the Lucian, you've got the double AD there, I think that they're going to be basically signaling that this Gragas is 100% going jungle, because you don't really have many AP junglers that are still left and available. Now, they still could go for like some crazy flexes, like and put them in towards the jungle, maybe bring out something like an Italy, but I personally think that Gragas is going to go towards the jungle. But as we were looking at these last few bans coming in, Sion taken there, another Aurelia ban. Yeah, this basically signals the Aurelia that they want to go for Gnar, or at least maybe even try and bait out something like the Gnar, and then go for the Jace for 360.
We'll have to see how the top lane trades pan out in this one. As wouldn't be surprised to see just a blind pick mid lane. Well, it's not blind pick at all. You've got the Lucian there, so you can pick a favorable mid lane matchup. Save your top lane until you know exactly what you're going to be going up against. But it looks like the Sett comes in. That could be Sett mid. It's possible.
Yeah, I think it is. It does give Knight a lot of control in that mid lane, though. Like, Sett doesn't really like going against AD mids because they provide so much consistent damage. It's a lot more difficult for him to survive the mid lane matchup. So I'm surprised to see Irma take the Sett, but I mean, it will still provide a very strong front line for the likes of eStars. And now if you end up pairing him with another kind of bruiser in the top here for ZS, that can be a pretty devastating front line to play against. Okay.
Well, Mr. Dagda, you were incorrect on the jungle, I'm afraid, because Karsa ain't going for the Gragas, he's going for Skarner. And it's our first Skarner of the LPL split as well. We've been seeing it across the world, certainly a lot in LEC.
Where's the Nautilus?
We finally get to see it. It's Nautilus support. It's Gragas top.
Where's the Gragas top, is it? Okay.
Oh, that's not that surprising. We see a lot of Gragas top.
No, what I'm thinking is So what I was actually thinking was you could put the Lucian top There we go. Put the Lucian top. Because it's good against the Gnar, you put the Nautilus potentially in towards the mid lane. You have Knight playing like a Doombeast style, and then even the Gragas support. But it looks like Knight could even be playing an AP Gragas mid. So I don't know. This is all over the place from top esports.
Okay, so here's forget the win conditions, forget the compositions. We got Knight playing AP Gragas mid. What we need to look out for this game is some style from Knight, because Gragas mid is the kind of pick that you can really show off on. He can be really good, like you can just get kills with the ult and all that kind of stuff, but what you can do is drop a Q, use your ult, knock someone into the Q, then belly pop them and one-shot them, and it is maybe the most stylish way to get a kill in the whole of League of Legends. So I want to see these kind of shenanigans. After game number 1, Knight, you got to show off for us, man.
So I'm just going to say, like, top esports have dialed on eStar in this draft because they picked the Lucian. They baited us. We're like, Lucian mid, Gragas jungle, AP, AD mid. It's cool. It works out great. However, because they've now swapped that Lucian top, you actually get the counter for the Gnar in the top lane. Lucian does really, really well there. I was actually trying to spot there. I think it might actually be the phase rush maybe for the Gragas. Yeah, so this is actually a phase rush. Gragas is a super strong counter to Sett. So basically what you do is every time Sett tries to use his W or even tries to engage on top of you, you just Betty bop in, you pop down the Q and auto pop the Q and you just phase rush away. And it's impossible for the Sett to land his W on top of you because of how fast you are. Like, this is such a cool strategy coming in from top esports.
And a good strategy from eStar as well, as they get a cheeky little cheese kill onto JackeyLove down on the bottom side of the map. Rat the first blood of this one. JackeyLove not using any summoners. He knew he was just going to go down there as karsa takes a couple of hits. Did get a ward down onto the red buff. So nice start here by eStar to at least find themselves a small advantage to kick the game off with.
And the big thing was the kill went to Rat as well, right? So now he's got a longsword for himself coming back into lane. He's going to be in pretty good shape and already trying to give some alleviation down towards Rat and ShiauC to see if they can have a bit more control in this bottom lane. And I think Hacker will probably be trying to play down towards this bottom lane as well, just to try and make sure that this Aphelios doesn't end up falling prey to Zhuo and JackeyLove going very aggressive. So
let's quickly talk about the AP Gragas as well, because we saw, I believe yesterday it was Fnatic that were playing AP Gragas. I think Whippo played it and went for the Everfrost first. And it was him and Niski both went Everfrost in the same game, which is why I remember it. I'm curious what kind of build Knight ends up going for, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something similar because it felt really difficult to deal with. A lot of CC, a lot of mobility from the phase rush. Really, really obnoxious to trade against.
So I'm actually not sure if Knight is even going to go AP. I'm actually curious to see if Knight goes a tank build here. Because you've got no real frontline, right? So the Gragas kind of ends up playing that frontline, and specifically when I've seen phase rush Gragases, it has been going more towards this tank-oriented build. I saw it a lot in top lane as a counter to Sett back, like, at the end of, what was it, maybe, but basically when Sett got announced. This was when we started to see a lot of the Gragas coming out as a specific counter to the Sett in top lane. So he could end up just going back towards a tank-orientated build, provide the front line that you need, and then work in conjunction with karsa to just let JackeyLove and 369 be the carries. But as you said, like, you've got a multitude of builds as well where you can go Everfrost. We've seen a lot of Night Harvester for the AP Gragas' top lane. Like, there's a lot of flexibility in Knight's build here, so we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what he decides to go with.
Yeah, we'll certainly check back in on that as the build develops, and we'll see. With the Doran's Ring, I feel like that leans towards AP, but honestly, I'm just going to wait and see. This is Knight we're talking about anyway, so he does what he wants in that lane, and JackeyLove wants a bit of revenge. Oh, that hook was so damn close. You could see JackeyLove being so aggressive on towards Rat, and there is a 10 CS lead in the bottom side already, and the wave is only like 1 minion in favor of Rat right now, as karsa is toying with the idea of a dive in the top side. ZS is in mini Gnar. He's got a bit of health to work with, but here we go. Minion wave is under 369, and they get a TP out of Irma. They're just going to back away. They're like, all right, we're happy with that one, because now Knight gets to crash a wave in mid instead.
Yeah, I don't think they were ever actually going to commit to that dive. They're just trying to see if they could get that TP out. But really smart pathing from karsa, understanding, look, Hacker's going to be roaming down towards his bottom side. I can just show top here, get that TP out from Irma. Now you get that free reset for Knight. you still have Karsa getting the Scuttle Crab on top. It's just great play and great pathing from the top esports jungler.
Yep. Baiting out the teleport. Beautifully done here. And, I mean, one of the things we always say about Karsa, right, is that he is one of the more intelligent junglers, very much a team-based jungler. Less about finding himself an individual advantage and finding ways to get his laners ahead. And that doesn't just mean ganking. That also means these smart map plays, because you can see he's down in CS right now. He is falling behind individually as a jungler off the back of that play, but Knight is getting springboarded as is 369.
But this screams to me that top esports are looking for a dive on bottom lane. Because what they're probably going to look to do is, like, off this reset, right? The wave's going to be shoved in. For JackeyLove and Zhuo, you set up this slow push that you can turn into the TP from Knight into a 4-man dive on bot, turn back towards the dragon, and start to get this Kalista up and snowballing and getting these early objectives for yourselves and powering through what is going to be an incredibly strong mid-game when you look at this Kalista and this Lucian in the top.
Well, they might have a dive for top lane as well, because ZS is in trouble. Knight with a very weird flash. He flashed and belly bopped the minions that were surrounding him. The Gragas hitbox on his E is a
Watch 369 there. 369 is losing it. He just saw that happen and he's giggling away to himself on the camera. That's hilarious.
You love to see it. And I was asking for Knight to style on people with the Gragas. That ain't happened so far. That was literally the opposite. He styled on himself with that play as Irma looks for a trade. This is exactly what you were talking about. You just bop them away, you drop the barrel, and you sprint at the speed of light with the phase rush.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do as Irma. Like, it's impossible to actually get any sort of damage onto him. However, we're looking bot lane. Zhuo overextended.
Hacker is there, and he is level 6 as well. He's just going to pull himself over towards ShiauC. I think JackeyLove is just going to abandon his support on this one. I don't think even JackeyLove had noticed that anything was happening. He just continued farming the entire time. It's like when you engage in our bot lanes, Dagda.
Thanks, Munch. I appreciate that. You know?
No, I was saying
see how
that
you're going to do
farm.
getting the plat this season, all right, buddy?
That wasn't an insult to you. That was an insult to me.
Oh, sorry. I was only half listening because I was kind of looking at I was looking at where Hacker, because I liked where Hacker went there. I was watching where Hacker was because I like that he tried to like counteract the play that we just talked about with the potential for the dive bot. Getting that kill onto Zhuo shuts that entirely down. You can see that wave is still crashing on towards bot side, but having Zhuo now dead, not really having the support there, it's a lot more difficult for top esports to set up that play. So Hacker actually buying a lot of space for the eStar bot lane.
Yeah, nicely done, and they will be able to just clear this wave underneath the tower and get themselves doing all right. And I will say, eStar so far looking pretty in this game. They're almost 1,000 gold up. They managed to get that first blow with a cheeky little bit of cheese. They get a pick in the bottom side as well. So both bot laners of this shark-infested bot lane, as we've labeled it, have now died in this game. And Rat is totally okay to play this slow from this point out. They don't need to keep fighting. They've got Aphelios Thresh. They want to play this lane as safe as possible.
Exactly. eStar don't want to do anything until, you know, the 25-minute mark, especially with no cleanses. They want to make sure they got the QSS there. And that's why Hacker, you can see here, he's doing a really good job of just trying to figure out where top esports are going to go and playing around it.
Yeah, but he doesn't actually want to be near top esports because they're just going to kill everyone in sight. Explosive cast doesn't quite connect, though. Irma doesn't really have any damage, and 369 is happy to play at range on this one. Knight throws in a barrel, and he is already chunking people. He did go for that AP route in the end, as Karsa looks to re-engage the dive. ZS about to turn mega, but they kill him before he can. Karsa walks away from the turret. This is at least a couple of plates here, no. But I think they want Irma as well. I don't think they're done just yet. Base breaker's good. The stun is there, but the damage from Knight is more than enough for a kill.
And that's where we see Knight's TP being used by top esports. We talked about how they built that advantage already. We're just waiting to see when they pulled the trigger, and they end up using a topside onto 369. So plates and everything galore going topside. As ShiauC actually takes a good amount of return damage in this bottom lane. They do need to be careful. Like, even with the lead that they've got, Kalista will still do Kalista things if she's managed to get away with it.
All right, let's take another look at this, because if you want to learn how to dive towers, this is top esports giving you a masterclass here.
Yeah, exactly. Nice being under the turret there after getting that TP in. He's so good in these turret plays because he's got the CC, he's got the disengage and kind of the get away from your terror ultimate with the explosive cask. But they don't even need it here. They managed to force eStar back enough that they get one, they reset the damage, which means that they're not going to be taking all this ramp up damage when they go for this second round of dives again. So very well played from Top Esports.
Beautifully done. And each of the team members holding enough aggro at the right amount of time so that they can juggle that well. And now over towards the Herald they go. 369 back to the top lane. You can see Hacker on the bottom side of the map. I'm not sure if he started off Drake or if he's just doing the scuttle crab there, but 369 wants a solo kill. The culling gets ZS so damn low. No flash available. If there had been, I think that would have just been a kill. And look at this. Herald given over to JackeyLove. We know where that Herald is going. We know where you can expect Karsa to start to move in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, the big problem here, though, is that because Top Esports invested everyone towards this top end of the map, eStar actually get the Dragon. And when you're thinking of like a mid-game fighting team, right, they all want to get these dragons stacked because that's how you force the opponents into fighting them. But we're 10 minutes into the game, that's the first dragon going across, and it's going to eStar. So Top Esports haven't really got themselves up and running yet and finding ways to force eStars to fight.
Knight blasts Irma away here. Will be pulled back into the fray, though. Has to flash from this one. Dark Harvest picked up by Hacker nonetheless as well. But the bot lane tower is defended. And you're absolutely right. eStar do get the first Drake of this on. But if game one is anything to go on, I don't think Top Esports are that interested in Drakes. I think they're much more interested in the gold they can get with this Herald. You can see JackeyLove has returned to the bottom lane. We've got a reset coming through from Rat. It's very possible JackeyLove just slams the Herald as soon as he can get towards the tower.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think that it means now that Top Esports definitely have to play this heavy pick-orientated style. Like, trying to see if they can crack open this turret on the bot side with the Rift Herald, start to use the fact that they can move in, get some vision control. Knight having these 3 kills as well gives him a lot of priority in mid, and try and pick members off of eStar as these turrets start to go down, just to how far ahead Top Esports are in the kind of the tempo and the fact that they have this Rift Herald.
And I just want to point something out as well. As you mentioned, Knight being on 3 kills already. When he got those 3 kills, he'd already bought a Dark Seal. He's on 6 stacks right now. He's going to go for the Medjais. We all know Knight always goes for the Medjais. He's already massive. I can just feel this being one of those games for Knight, you know, where he just gets such a huge lead early and could turn it into something magical. And I'm curious if this bot lane play is going to happen soon. We've got half of the time burned down now on the Herald that JackeyLove has. And if they don't make a play towards this bot lane soon, it may be a bit of a waste to give this Herald over to JackeyLove. You can see Karsa now moving in towards that bot river. Just try and set up potentially a dive, maybe just to try and finish off the tower.
It'll be hard to try and operate this as Top Esports, though. You've got 2 TPs available on this eStar's lineup, whereas you've only got maybe one in a couple of seconds here for Knight. So trying to get numbers advantage on this bottom side is going to be really, really difficult.
Hacker's up towards the top side, trying to make a cross-map play. There's actually everyone from Top Esports moving towards the mid lane or moving into the jungle. I can't even see the minimap. There are so many pings going off right now. JackeyLove waiting off in the wings. Nobody spotted on the ward just yet because they want to dive the mid lane. 369. Oh no, flash and smite from Hacker. It's going to answer the flash from 369. ZS is here. The wallop should mean the Gnar is good, but he dodges the watch out Ep. 369 still goes down though. There's 4 members strong here. Rat knocked back, as is ShiauC. The depth charge flashed away from. And eStar actually outplaying on the map right now. As eStar find the first pick. Herald finally goes down. JackeyLove gets a few hits in onto the tower to make sure that he's getting that gold. He'd love to get one more plate though as the pull comes in. ShiauC will go down underneath the tower here. The Ren from JackeyLove. That's 3 plates. And he wants to make it a 4th as well.
And that's actually a bit of a mistake from Hacker. I know you were saying, hey, look, they got the dive on top lane, but Hacker invested so much time in towards that top side when they knew that top esports were going to make a play in this mid lane. And it means that they don't actually have the numbers advantage. ShiauC tries to go for the hook, but you can see there, you're instantly pulling Zhuo back out. He's totally safe. And great job from Karsa to lock down Irma and set up these kills for top esports alongside the plate. So again, even though you get a kill on towards 369 the top lane, yeah, that's cool, but the rest of top esports are making gains on the rest of the map.
Yeah, the play top lane is cool, but have you ever made a play in the mid lane? Says top esports. 400 gold ahead now, so that gold lead the eStar once had, unfortunately, has been thwarted. The top esports, this is the point in the game where you expect them to start to accelerate things. When you look at the items across the board, 7 stacks now for Knight. We've got a shield bow as well as boots coming through for JackeyLove. And look at Knight. That's half of Irma's health gone. Knight's not even been tickled just yet. Another barrel comes in. Knight knows there's nothing Irma can do about it. Knocks it back in. He's still going on this one. I feel like the ult was a slight overcommitment. Hacker's on this side of the map as well, but Zhuo knows exactly where he is. Top esports are just controlling the entire map. JackeyLove looking for towers. The minions might just finish this one off, and he gets the local gold as well. And top esports, they can just play at range. They can play at arm's length against eStar and still win out.
And that's the thing. Like, if Knight doesn't kill Irma, that doesn't matter. All they're doing is drawing people around the map for these plays.
No! He's gone back into his jungle, but it's not his jungle anymore, Dagda.
And that's the problem, is that, like, when Irma's lost control of this 1v1 against Knight, Knight can go for these plays. And look, you either commit multiple members as eStar to save this tower mid, or top esports just rotates bot until it kills their bot tower. They still get the dragon off of this play as well. Like, this is how top esports are able to wring so many advantages out of these little advantages that they already have, and just blowing the game out of proportion. So even though we're looking at, hey, you know, 1,000 gold lead for eStar at the 10-minute mark, this is looking good. It's now swung to a 2,000 gold lead. Dragon's going over in favor of top esports, and now this is how top esports are in the lead.
Yeah, and then suddenly what looked like a good start for eStar has fallen asunder, and they got that first Drake as well, which slows down the Dragon Soul win condition, I guess, but I don't think top esports want to last long enough for a Dragon Soul knock up onto ZS. He doesn't even get to go mega. Zhuo pulled out at the last second by the Fate's Call. The dot's not enough, and he's got a stopwatch. Hacker's going to go down as well. ShiauC trying to finish up the kill, but the Titan's Wrath shield is there. No way does Zhuo get away with that one. It was actually JackeyLove that ended up going down in the end. He's the one to die instead of the support.
I mean, look, Zhuo had to make the play. He had to get the highlight moment. Nice.
Oh, the Dark Passage pulls Rat out, but now the dive from 369 to finish it off. But Moonlight Vigil is good. ShiauC surviving, and now a TP being channeled. Rat wants, or ZS, sorry, wants a little bit of revenge, but he's belly bopped. And look at the damage Knight is doing. He's like 2v1. Yeah, bring it on, Sunshine. I'll take you any day of the week.
Excuse me, sir. I've got this pamphlet that has 13 stacks in it right now. That's why he's just able to smack ZS across the face with his Magi Soul Stealer right there. Knight is huge, and even ZS, who comes in thinking he's fine, Mini-Mar form cannot compete with the power of this belly on Gragas.
AP Gragas, baby. Who knew that was what we'd be seeing today from Knight? But I don't care whether it's meta. All I care is we get to witness the glory of Knight bringing it to the stage. He's got his Magi, he's got 13 stacks, and he is feeling himself today.
Yeah, this is so nicely played by Knight. And again, it just adds to even more confusion for this Gragas pick on top esports. Because now you got to worry about, hey, Karsa plays it, 369 plays it, Zhuo plays it, Knight plays it. I mean, it's only a matter of time, it feels like, until JackeyLove is playing the bloody thing. So it's just, how do you try and deal with that? It's so cool to see these little nuances in draft come out and really having big impacts in this game.
Oh, ZS has to pop the Mega Gnar there. Just about survives. The tower will go down. Local gold shed between those two players. Now Zhuo has been Dredgeline. Just Dredgelines on the spot, and eStar are like, well, he used his Q, so I guess he's out of here. They leave him alone from that point. They respect the ability even if it didn't work. The
attempt was made, and that deserves the medal.
It's the thought that
That's
counts,
what gets a medal. Yeah, You can see the helicopter parents that were Karsa and everything, though, were in that top side as well. So they're kind of like, we don't really want to deal with this. So they end up backing away. Again, though, top esports. Terra goes down top. Terra gone in mid. That bot lane Terra is short-lived as well with 369 already there. So already these structures starting to fall, and with this composition that top esports has that does so well on making these picks happen, when the vision gets denied by top esports moving into your jungle, it's really difficult for eStar to hold on to control of this map.
And I mean, you're not wrong, Dagda. You're not wrong. And we're getting to the point now where, just like in every top esports game last year until Worlds, and just like we saw, or just like we expected to see at the start of this year and haven't really seen so far, it feels like this is the level of top esports that everyone was just waiting for. The Lunar New Year is over, and it feels like they're back on form again. I don't want to get too excited. They're against eStar. Let's not get carried away. Obviously, this is a win that top esports, by all rights, should be getting, right? eStar is one of the bottom teams in the league, but it does feel like top esports are having some fun with this series and taking an opportunity to strut their stuff a little bit.
Yeah, and especially when we kind of saw the top esports were falling off, to have them now coming back in such strong fashion is really, really good. And even their win over LNG was very convincing. Like, playing, as we talked about, this more kind of pick-oriented style that we're seeing again in this game, where it was more like the Twisted Fate and trying to use that cheated tempo to get around the map. This time around, they're just using their waves better and being able to get Knight out of lane. We saw how he could use that TP early, gets in towards the top lane, solidifies a bunch of kills for 369, and it's these kind of plays that I love to see from top esports, how they are so cleverly using the wave advantages that they have, the TP advantages they have, to snowball these leads dramatically.
All right, I can feel it, Dagda. This is the fight that's coming up where Knight styles on everyone and he gets the big Gragas play. There's a hook onto Rat. The explosive cast just pops him. Irma, you know, it's a great haymaker. It looked good. It did a bit of damage, but he still goes down. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And guess what? It's 20 minutes, and that means it's Baron o'clock for top esports.
And with double AD carry, Kalista, Lucian, you're going to destroy this thing. Yeah, eStar are down. They're getting the dragon for themselves. But we already said, look, top esports, they've read that this dragon is not really going to be a win condition. It's going to be way too late before you really have to worry about it as eStar. So they're just going to look towards the bigger objectives like Baron, like looking for these picks and snowballing the game that way.
Knight's been found as... the heal comes through. He still dies to the dot, though. 369 wants to answer for it, as Hacker surely will be the next target. Waiting for the E. It's on cooldown, so he actually can't get close enough. Karsa's waiting for the teleport. Irma's here, but he's tanky. 369 could be in trouble here. JackeyLove is just pushing at the top side while all this goes on. He doesn't care if his teammates die. He does not care about the fate of 369, who's desperately trying to escape through the jungle. Irma trying to close the gap. Crescendom's there, so he can't get the group with Gravitum anymore. And everybody gets out somehow. The wave just going to crash on the top side as JackeyLove recalled. But hey, we got some pretty T-Tours production right there.
And you got a few consolation prizes for eStar as well. I mean, the shutdown that was on Gragas for Knight going across, also getting some of those stacks off. But fantastic hook from Zhuo. And as you said, party in the back as the cast goes in to shut down the Aphelios. This is just non-stop aggression from top esports. But the problem was, it needed to stop at some point, because aggressing on towards this dragon, when you've already committed towards Baron, you've already know you've given it up, is just bizarre to me. But I mean, that is top esports, right? They always try to take out a little bit more than they can chew.
They love to extend a little bit, and Knight just lost a whole bunch of stacks. He was getting close. He was getting close to stacked. Oh, excuse me. He was getting close to stacked out there, but unfortunately, he got hooked and he went down. Good hook by ShiauC. We got a great hook in that fight from either of our supports, so we all know that ShiauC don't miss those hooks. He is truly an exceptional Thresh player. But now we get to see top esports setting up across the map, looking towards the bottom lane, as they do still have a couple of Baron buffs across their team. They've still got a minute to work with on those Baron buffs. They're going to grab a tier 2 in this mid lane at very least. You can see 369 hovering towards the bot side. Doesn't want to overextend, though, and get collapsed upon. But if they can crash some waves simultaneously, they're going to be able to grab some inhib towers for themselves. ZS pushing still in the top side, has his TP, but his Mega Gnar has just timed out. So if he were to TP now, he'd be exhausted. This is the window for top esports to brute force their way into the base. There's nothing ZS can do about it, even if he does TP, and that will be the inhib taken.
eStar just realized, look, we're not winning this fight anyway. ZS now gets TP'd on.
And he's just going to TP out. Knight arrives a little too late. And all he'll be able to get for himself is a Gromp. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. TP for TP. Knight's one is far less valuable, but honestly, I think at this stage, eStar, they're not really going to get much more of a chance to get out of their base with the wave pushing in bot side, with the fact that you've got
TP
this.
If you're already with your team.
Yeah, exactly. But you've got to now have ZS deal with this bot side pressure. You're going to have 369 you can push in top. 4-man stack coming in from top esports in mid means they're going to be putting pressure onto this inhibitor turret in the mid lane as 369 hits top side tier 2. So it's you just can't be everywhere on the map right now for eStars, and it's just looking like a done deal now for top esports.
Yeah, top esports can just gain control of the red quadrant of the map for eStar and pressure out on this top side tier 2. They have run out of Baron though, so it's not as easy to siege, and they do have very short range AD carries here, but if they get a second on the tower, they will burst through those objectives. ZS is on the bottom side of the map. He just used his TP to escape, so if a fight kicks off, this would be 4v5.
Yeah, I don't think top esports really need to go for this style of play, though. They're looking for more kills. Like, they are definitely being bloodthirsty right now. I would have preferred, as I said, to see, like, 369 pushing topside, right? You send the rest of top esports in towards mid to threaten onto this turret, or at least have somebody threaten that mid lane inhibitor. Because otherwise, eStar would just sit under this turret all day, clear the waves with this Infernum on to the Aphelios, and not worry about it.
Hook onto Karsa, but he's kind of happy to be cooked there, just like, you know what? Let's just go for the dive. If they fight us, they fight us. If they don't, we get the tier 2. Best of both worlds. Why play macro when you can just try and fight them? I kind of like that style of play, Dagda. I'm okay with this.
Hey, I mean, if it works, right? And it's just kind of like swinging your wallet in their face going, we know you can't do anything right now. They're 6,000 gold lead coming in for top esports. And it honestly, they can kind of do whatever they want from this point forward. Like, it doesn't make a difference. They're going to be able to pick up this Baron in a minute and a half, and from that point forward, eStar just don't have the wave clear to deal with Baron minions.
JackeyLove is trying to chase onto Hacker. You can see him pushing forward. Him and Knight battling for the cannon. It's JackeyLove that gets it in the end. As the Drake spawns, this will be the second Drake of the game for top esports. Obviously, eStar were able to get 2 Drakes earlier on trading while top esports are on the top side of the map, but unfortunately for eStar, I fear that they may be the only 2 dragons that they get this game. In fact, they may be the last 2 objectives that they got in the entire game, as top esports feel like they're starting to put their foot down a little bit, because Baron's up in 45 seconds, and we just saw how much top esports are able to achieve with Baron buffs. There's only 2 towers left standing in that base outside of the Nexus.
And this has just been the snowball of just out of control from top esports from the get-go. And unfortunately for eStar, this is where it's gotten too much. Although JackeyLove,
Irma's got in onto JackeyLove, forces the flash at very least, but 369 culling onto Rat. Look at the damage he is doing on that backside. And Karsa's arrived. There's still only 4 members of top esports here, but that is plenty in their mind. Showstopper to the back line, but they've got to pull onto Hacker and take him down. Into the rest of the fight they go. Rat falls as the double kill comes for JackeyLove, and he wants a little bit more on top of it. Give him the triple, finds a little bit more with the quadra, and all they have to do is chase ZS down. And we all know what team we're talking about right here. This is top esports. ZS, your fountain cannot save you, my friend.
he's teasing. JackeyLove's looking, but I don't think he's going to be able to get it with that. Gnar running back towards the fountain. Top esports just say, right, whatever, we'll take the game instead.
Surely not. Surely that cannot be the case. ZS comes in, pulls JackeyLove onto the fountain. ZS, you beautiful man. Completely ruins JackeyLove's day. Tries to emote, gets immediately shot down by 369. The game will end, but hey, ZS managed to get himself a little caveat there. Managed to get himself a bit of a party pooper medal.
Yeah, and I mean, look, JackeyLove, he gets the win at the end of the day. The Penta would have been nice, but convincing stuff here from Top Esports. And this is what we were talking about in the opening of the day, was just how good Top Esports are running away with these small advantages that they get. We see it there, where Karsa baits the TP out into the top lane, then just turns that in towards the Knight being able to outpace Irma to the top lane. Now they're getting even more, go for 369. They're getting so many advantages. All the turrets are going down. There's just no real stopping them as eStar.
Yeah, kind of hilarious to see as the handshakes go through, JackeyLove and ZS kind of make eye contact. He's like, you got me. They have a bit of a giggle together. Good to see a bit of camaraderie between the two teams. But yeah, Top Esports, I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest. We look at this in the standings, we look at this in the schedule, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be a 2-0 for Top Esports. It was just about what fashion they can pull this 2-0 out. And they're showing that this is a team that you have to fear. This is not a team that the first half of the split really accurately represents. And I feel like I've seen the conversation on Twitter and on Reddit a couple of times about how we're overrating teams like IG and Top Esports. And the problem is, when you're looking at these teams, they have players on these squads that are exceptional world-class talents. And if you watch as much LPL as we do, you see these guys in some of the series, and it's clear to me that they don't care about some series and that they're not trying. And they'll lose those series, and you're like, well, I guess that doesn't really matter. And then people call you biased, but then you get a series like this, and you're like, hey, look, it's Top Esports. They just body these kids whenever they want to.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, is that, like, I mean, a lot of people say it doesn't matter before Chinese New Year. I'm of the opinion that it does, but that doesn't mean that players have the same opinions as me.
Yeah.
So it oftentimes kind of gets to after Chinese New Year, these teams wake up. Usually it's a shorter time now. Usually it is about 2 weeks, but you can see even after the 5 weeks that break is kind of the players going, whew. And especially for teams that have gone to Worlds, like, if you look at like some of the teams that have gone from like the World Championship into Demacy Championship into LPL, then they get the 2 week break, and then it's coming back. You kind of need that mental reset at the same time. And it really does look like, after butchering LNG, after butchering eStar, Top Esports are back in fine form after the Spring Split Festival.
Right. So what you're saying is JackeyLove just needed quite a few nights sleep to get over the hangover that he had during the semi-finals. I see. So he's finally made it past that night of karaoke, and he's finally back on form once again. But yeah,
he's ready.
Throwing a little bit of shade, but ultimately Top Esports back on form. I'm excited to see Top Esports in this form against some of the top teams, because I don't want to overstate it. This is a win against eStar. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They do still need to prove this in their coming series when they're playing against some of the top teams like EDGs, FPXs, and RNGs. Can they still look this good? Can they make these clean macro plays? Because even in this series, you can see that they're kind of messing about a little bit. They're certainly not playing optimally. Against some of the other top teams, you don't get away with that stuff. They will punish you.
And I think that's the thing as well, is that, like, if you got to come into playoffs and you're not hitting those super high seeds, like, that's a long way to play through playoffs. Like, don't forget, our playoffs now extend to 10 teams. So if you are in that bottom kind of half of the playoff teams, you've got a hell of a lot of series to play to until you get to face off against our upper echelon. And you're just showing everything. Teams get a lot of time to see exactly what they're up against. What are you hiding? What are you going for? And they can come to the table with a fully prepared prep. And you're like, I haven't seen EDG, FPX, RNG play in 3-4 weeks. I don't know what this team has.
Yeah, it becomes a difficult question when we get to playoffs, especially with the new format, because when you're getting to the top spots, when you're getting to the top seeds, you get into a double elimination bracket. So there's even more value on the top seeds than there has been ever before, because the playoff format is no longer single elimination towards the end of the bracket, but it's still single elimination for the majority of teams in playoffs. So those top spots, really, really valuable this time around. So you can expect teams. I mean, we saw IG taking down EDG. That's a huge turnaround for IG, because they've, let's be honest, had a really shaky start to the season. Same thing now for Top Esports, but we need to see a more significant win for Top Esports before we can really start talking about this being a top team again. I'm just glad that we're at least seeing them playing a lot more confidently and with a bit of a clearer plan, and basically just saying, look, we're still top esports. We still have the ability to just absolutely dominate games.
And for me, it's that top half of the map. Like JackeyLove and Zhuo, we've touted about saying, look, they are the most dominant duo in the LPL right now. But for me, 369 has been a little bit lackluster. Knight hasn't been having the best performances. So actually seeing that top half of the map start to step up, especially 369 today, the Lucian was fantastic. His mechanics were on point. But even when we go back a step further to game one on that Jax, I was a bit worried when I saw all this attention from eStar starting to move towards that top side of the map. But he took it on the chin. He was just like, cool, I'm going to be able to escape away from this. It's not really going to matter. And then having Knight and Karsa roam up again to keep them safe. These are the kind of things that in the past would have stumped top esports and then started to slow their pace of their game down, not allow them to play this very quick, very excitable style of killing a bunch of towers, getting these picks. Now I'm starting to see the top esports of old come back into form.
Yeah, and especially 369 actually having a really good series as well. As you say, surviving a lot of that pressure. And he was one of the players that definitely at the very start of the split had a bit of a rough start to things. So it does feel nice seeing him feeling a little bit back on form, especially pulling out things like the Jackson game number 1, playing weak side really well. But also, we got to talk about the mid laner. Knight bringing us AP Gragas. Like, it feels fantastic. Let's take a look at some of the clips of that pick because, you know, in classic Knight fashion, he went for the Medjay's. He's just bopping around the map, dropping barrels and taking names.
Yeah, it's a party wherever Knight goes in this game, and he was looking damn clean doing it. The flex in draft working out very, very well for top esports, and honestly, it's so cool to see when we kind of expect, you know, the Syndras, the Orianas, the Zoes, these kind of things from Knight, to now see him play a very different style is really cool to see, and having so much success on it, understanding still how to get out of lane, impact the map, and working so well with Karsa to take over in this game.
I feel like Knight gets the MVP on this one, and honestly, it could have gone across the board. I think Knight had the best score, but regardless, even if Knight just played average, as long as he played decently on this Gragas, just picking the Gragas gets you the MVP in this kind of situation, getting to see something like this. And now, as you said during the game, Dagda, top esports officially have a quadra flex pick that's also totally first pickable. That, in terms of drafting, is an unbelievable advantage to have for yourself. It's like we had with Sett in 2020, right? So many teams could first pick Sett and just play him in pretty much any role. Top esports can do that with Gragas, and we'll find out over the next couple of weeks if other teams can start to pull this pick out in other lanes as well. We're going to head over to the